Glad to be back with another video for Racers to the Rescue. We are here in Concord, North Carolina, and I am really excited to have Joel Padgett here from 26 Acres Brewery. This is the business that we are featuring for our Racers to the Rescue campaign while we're here at ZMAX Dragway for the NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series, the four-wide nationals. I'm excited to be racing Top Fuel in my first four-wide race, so hopefully I won't do anything silly and make any rookie mistakes. But before we get to the racing stuff and all that, Joel, thanks for joining me, man. I'm really excited to come visit you guys this weekend and enjoy some great food. And let's start out by talking about some of these amazing craft beers you guys create. As a race car driver, listen, I have to limit how much beer I drink on the weekend, severely. But tell me a little bit about some of these amazing craft brews, and not only that, but tell me a little bit about, if I'm going to have one or two, what would be your suggestions as like some of the ideal go-tos for someone visiting your 26 acres, visiting 26 acres for the first time?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on. Thanks for highlighting 26 acres. If you come out to the brewery or you see our beers around, it really depends on what kind of beer is in your wheelhouse. We always have a pretty big selection of IPAs, and our most popular IPA is Reptar Juice. It's a New England hazy IPA, very high on the juiciness. Seems to be a real crowd favorite and one of our most popular beers in distribution. But if you like the lighter side of beer, we have a really good Kolsch called Four Left Turns, and a honey blonde ale called Corbin Avenue. Those are light drinking, sort of gateway beers for people that are still kind of testing the waters of craft beer and coming from the domestics like Miller Bud Coors. And then we usually round out. We have a bunch of seasonals and quite a few selections of multi beers. Right now, we have a beer on called Ashland's Amber, and we donate part of the profits from Ashland's Amber to Ashland's Wish Foundation, and we participated in a golf tournament last week that we sort of coincide the release of the beer with the golf tournament, and it's an amber ale, but it's hoppy, not super hoppy, but sort of to my liking. I like a malty beer, but I like it to finish a little less sweet, a little on the drier side, just so I can keep drinking it. But we make a porter and then a coffee version of that porter. So we're sort of well-rounded. We also make a sour series, and we make our own seltzer, hard seltzer. We also have, honestly, probably one of my favorite beers we've made in months, and it's called Smash for Stash. And again, we brewed it for a cause. It's an organization called Stash Strong, and it's Curly Mustache, and they raise funds for brain cancer research. It was developed around a gentleman that got a brain tumor, and his family rallied around, and they would wear mustaches when he was going through chemo and stuff. They happened to reach out to a few businesses, or I think just through word of mouth, and the brewery culture, the brewing industry and the brewery culture really thrives and is very open to foundations, organizations, people who are, involved in the community and giving back to the community and, good causes. So it just kind of fit in. And Oscar Blues is one of the big breweries that sort of first took hold. And I believe this year they got participation from, I think, 205 breweries or something like that. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. And seriously, it's a lower gravity IPA. I love it. I love it. I thought it came out fantastic. So I'm always excited about our beers. I really am. Just, you know, I cut my teeth in the craft beer, man, 20 years ago, mid and late 1990. And it just sort of, it was something I took to. I always enjoyed beer, and I was just kind of the person that kept gravitating towards craft. There weren't very many options, and Asheville was just kind of starting to be a center for craft breweries.
Right.
Their area of North Carolina was very open to small business. They are local centric people, and they support everybody in their community. So craft breweries were able to hang on long enough until this craft beer craze happened. And now they seem like they're these huge breweries. But when I was going to them, I mean, they were in there just brewing their hearts out, hoping people would walk in, trying to get beer out, and they were doing it as passion. It wasn't a real, like, you couldn't get loans from banks. It wasn't a true business proposition.
Right.
So you just did it for the passion of it. And it was really, really easy for me to get into that mindset and meet all of the people in the industry, brewers, owners, just the brewing culture people. And Charlotte started really picking it up with their Oktoberfest. And then that festival was so popular, other festivals started happening. And craft beer just kind of took over in Charlotte.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. It's funny. There's so many parallels with that. Listen, the Leverage Racing team, again, we're a small independent part-time team, and it's that same thing. It's a group of people that get together for the passion of what we do. And, it's funny. I see so many parallels between that whole journey that craft breweries have taken over the years to now becoming, such an amazing, driving force in that whole sector of the economy, so shall we say. But that's very, very cool. So couple things, right? So when we talked earlier, we were talking a little bit about how you guys got started and kind of a little bit of background of, the fact that, well, you told me your business is only 4.5 years old. So tell me a little bit about how you guys got started, and then tell me how you guys, like, what you were doing to try to survive through all these COVID restrictions.
Yeah, absolutely. The brewery started off probably ago as an idea, not to build a brewery, not to start a brewing business, but just a continuous passion project of a lot of friends that I have a group of guys, families that, we started kind of a monthly poker league thing. And all the guys just got really, tight knit. We formed a tight knit bond. We became really good friends. And the group would expand and a lot of people would want in, but, we really, it was more about the camaraderie and the competitiveness, just kind of icing on the cake. But I would slowly over time, we, of course, we'd go to someone's house and rotate it around, and everybody would bring beer for the poker game. And I always brought my favorite craft at the time, whatever I was drinking. So I noticed people sort of kind of asking about what I was drinking, and sometimes they would taste it, and not their thing, and they'd go back and get their Coors Light. And but over time, because I kept doing it, and a few other guys started kind of getting into it and enjoying the products, and I brought some things in that were easier for people to start with. I started doing tastings before our poker games, so everybody could show up an hour early. we'd sit around and I found myself, talking about beer, maybe October beers or Belgian beers. And so it just continued to play forward year after year. And every once in a while I would hear, you really should start a brewery. Why aren't you doing a brewery? Stuff like that. And as the Charlotte breweries were popping up, that became more of a serious kind of mindset, a suggestion. It became more serious of a suggestion. But it still wasn't something. I was a software engineer and really loved my work. I loved my job, every job I ever had. And but it just kind of had a moment where things were fortunate for me. A new path became open to do it, and the town of Concord that I was born and raised in decided they were going to add a tap room designation for facilities that allowed us to, it meant we didn't have to have the 30% revenue from food sales. And that was really the thing keeping people in Concord from opening a brewery, is because they wanted to do a brewery but not a restaurant. So that was about 2015, and 2016 was coming around, and my situation was changing. And the guys and I were talking, and one of my really good friends, Westport, said, I believe in this. I think we could do it. And, we sort of made plans, and then it got a little more serious over time. And we found an excellent brewer in Eric Troutman. He's our head brewer. And we became friends with him. And we decided at some point just to pull the trigger. And all of our friends and family, kind of said, yeah, I think it's time to do something like this. So we bought a little 2-barrel brew house from a brewery in St. Louis and had it shipped over on a truck, put it up in my garage, and we brewed in my garage pretty often. And we were brewing, a home brew size is about 5 gallons usually, and sometimes 10 gallons if you make a big batch. Well, we were brewing 68 to 70 gallons at a time. And so it makes the big barrels, it makes 4 of those big kegs. And the brew house, or the brewery that we bought, came with basically a 4-tap keezer. And so we had a tap system, and the rule in the neighborhood, in my neighborhood here, was if my garage door's up, come in and get beer. Fill it up, bring anything you want to fill up, fill anything you want up, sit there and drink it. Don't knock on the door and say, can I have beer? Just get it. Because, we were making so much, we had to get it out. And so the neighbors put up with the sound. We had a big, hefty generator. So it sounded like 2 lawnmowers going off at, 8 in the morning on a Saturday morning. And it would run about 8 hours that day. And but everybody knew the sound of the lawnmower meant a couple of weeks down the road, there was going to be plenty of beer. And so more than one occasion, I would walk out in my garage on a Sunday morning, and there'd be guys out there ready to watch football and sit there drinking beer.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
But you asked about the pandemic part.
Yes.
We were just over 3 years old. Well, yeah, just over 3 years old as we came into the early part of last year, and our St. Patrick's Day celebrations were kind of our thing. We had really big celebrations for St. Patrick's Day, and it's sort of common for all the breweries to share something. So like Cabarrus had Oktoberfest, so
right.
We had a smaller version, and they had the big one, and then we have a big, St. Patrick's Day. It was the shutdown was happening right around when we were having our St. Patrick's Day stuff. So, that's kind of a nice, what happens in the brewing industry is as things get colder, the tap room shrinks a little bit, you have less people coming in, things slow down, and of course you lose any outside space that you have for a while, unless you've got patio heaters and stuff like that. So, but everything slows down in the craft beer industry through the winter. And so St. Patrick's Day was always a good time for us to kind of inject some quick capital in and get that big push going for the spring, uh, resurgence of the craft beer drinkers. And we were so fortunate to have already delved into canning. So without canning, we would have been forced to figure out some way to get our beer out from our tap well, or through keg. Well, restaurants weren't buying kegs because they were shut down. Right. So your distribution, you couldn't send your kegs out.
Yeah.
So we were very fortunate. We quickly transitioned to massive amounts of canning, and we did have our tap room open. You just couldn't come in and sit down. So you could come in and get beer to go and go back out. And we have a point of sale system called Arrive that was built by a brewery and then became widely marketed to breweries. So it's built really kind of specifically for breweries and their operations. So so quickly they took something that they had planned for like a October release last year and put it right up front, and within about a week or two had it rolled out to us where we could allow people to order online and select curbside service, or I'm going to come in and pick it up. So they could do all their ordering from their phone, from their computer, and then come get it. So it let us package stuff up and have it sitting in our merchandiser and then walk it out to their cars. And, everybody does things differently. And I've always been pretty comfortable with everybody doing things the way they want. As long as they're comfortable with the way we do things as well. We took the pandemic very seriously right at the beginning. So we immediately went masks, gloves, all the time. We didn't know about the sanitation as much and rolled it in as soon as it came. Everybody was doing the hand sanitizer stuff, so we rolled that out. Then, you learn about you got to do the sanitation on the tables and stuff like that. So, and then the 6-foot separation part came in. So it was just, a constantly evolving thing. And I ended up being at the brewery 7 days a week. We opened 7 days a week because all we could do was to-go service. So instead of taking any days off, there was no need to. It's just kind of an open door like a convenience store, and, we're just getting the beer out the door. So I went in pretty much every day, and I would just sit in there. There's always silver linings, and I know other owners have gone, went through the same thing, but I got so much stuff done because you didn't have so much else going on, and the events were off. You didn't have to worry about the festivals coming up or anything happening at the brewery, and all these small item things that always were at the back of the to-do list. I was just able to churn through stuff.
That's cool.
Our neighbors, the people that are involved with the brewery are just tremendous. We couldn't be luckier. And they took care of us. They took care of our staff. And that was our biggest concern. So we didn't have to lay anybody off.
That's great.
We had to reduce hours drastically. But luckily, we were able to also provide the unemployment part for support, and so all of our staff was able to make it through with us.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I know we were fortunate. Fortunate.
Yeah, no, that's great, and it seems like as I've been talking to small businesses, all across so far the Southeast, because that's where our schedule has had us so far. But it seems to be the same story everywhere I talk to, even businesses in different parts of the country. It's folks that have that tight knit group, which a small business almost has to be, and I don't know any successful small business owners that don't put their people first, right? Not to use a double negative, but every successful small business owner I know does put their people first and does everything they can do to the best of their ability. I mean, look, you've got to have the business has to survive in order to serve the people, right?
Yep.
But you have to serve the people so that the business survives, right?
That's
so,
right.
It's an interesting, ecosystem, so to speak, But no, that's cool, man. It's so awesome to hear. I'm always encouraged when I hear small businesses say they were able to hang on to their people, or if they did furlough. Actually, Billy Bob's Barbecue in Gainesville was the business we focused on in Gainesville. People took turns in furlough, so nobody got hurt. You know, what I mean, it was really, it's great to see, like, you guys at 26 Acres being able to pivot, being able to, adapt and thereby overcome. So
Yeah.
no, that's really cool. So let's talk briefly, because I don't want to take too much of your time. Let's talk briefly a little bit about the food, because you guys do have food, and I'm looking forward to bringing the whole Leverage Racing team. And for people that are coming out and want to join us, let's talk about hours too. Let's talk about the food and the hours. And the Leverage Racing team, we're coming out Saturday because we have a late qualifying session on Friday. But we're hoping to do maybe some celebrating with you guys Sunday after we're done racing too. We'll see. But
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about some of the favorite menu items, and then let's talk a little bit about your hours for Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the race weekend.
You got it. So weekends are obviously our biggest time for the brewery. And so Friday we're 4 to 10, Saturday we're 12 to 10, and Sunday we're 12 to 6. But we are flexible. And pretty much all of our patrons understand how we operate as a flexible schedule. And it's really up to our staff. I put my trust in them, and I'll let them make the best choice for themselves. Sometimes a day goes and you just need to close at closing time. Sometimes it's been a great day and you still have people there. And I always say, if they're drinking and you don't feel like it's impeding on your time to get back to your family or get home at a good time, you're welcome to serve them and keep making some tips. So we partnered up with a organization called Second Kitchen. And what they do is they serve as a interface between, mostly, honestly, they really found a niche market with breweries, but any organization could do it. And the way it works is it's our menu. It looks like, hey, it's 26 acres, food, service options. But the kitchen isn't built at our place. It's a restaurant just up the road, and the order goes up to them, and they bring the food down. So it's worked really well for us. And it's burgers, wings, all the good stuff that people like to eat, have a beer. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
Excellent. Oh, I don't know what happened on my end. All of a sudden, your video cut out, but that's all right. That's not a problem. We can keep. Obviously, I can still hear you, so we can keep on going. It's not a problem. But yeah, that's awesome. It's I certainly have heard of Second Kitchen before, and the cool thing that I've seen is, for the most part, what they do is they also partner with local small businesses and independent restaurants to help them to continue to grow their businesses as well. So I don't know if they do that. I don't know if they do that exclusively. I thought they did, but I'm not 100% sure. But what I've learned about that is I believe that's what they do. So that's fantastic. Is there a particular dish that seems to be ordered a lot, or is it just kind of one of those things where, I mean, I know you guys have a pretty varied menu there.
Food-wise? You're asking food-wise?
Yeah, food-wise.
Yeah. I would say what I see ordered the most, there's a buffalo chicken wrap, and I always see wings. There's also mozzarella sticks. It's insane how many people order those. But the Philly cheesesteak wrap is insanely good. So that's normally, if I'm sitting there grubbing, that's probably what I'm getting.
That's awesome.
But no, it's all good. It's all good.
Cool. Now I'm looking forward to trying a. It's funny. You talked about. We didn't talk about on this call yet, but you and I spoke about earlier about your black and tan and the connection with the town of Concord and the names of the two beers, right?
Yeah.
Of the black and tan. So for the race fans that aren't local to Concord and don't understand, tell that story again. I thought
Yeah.
it was really cool when we talked about that earlier today.
Well, I'm going to tell you the more full version of the story.
Gotcha.
But I'm going to give you the condensed one so that we keep it in a good time frame. But a lot of times I'll tell this story and it brings a lot more into the questions that I get when we're doing brewery tours and stuff in the back. But basically, when we were trying to come up with a name for the brewery, man, we went through so many options and just really played out a bunch of different ideas. And I wanted the brewery to be something about the town of Concord. Again, I'm a native, so it meant a lot to me to open a business in my hometown. So in our research of the history of the town, we discovered that Concord was created in the late 1700s because all of the area around was being settled and it was kind of coming to a central point. And there were two different groups that were settling, and as they came together, they decided that they would build a town and put the town, make it the county seat. And the county, the Speaker of the House at the time was named Stephen Cabarrus. So the county is Cabarrus County, named after him. And they did not get along with each other. So they argued about where to put the town hall, the formation of the township. And they were about to actually fight. And Stephen Cabarrus wrote them a letter and expressed how much he appreciated their, naming the county after him and the respect that they had for him, and asked that they come together as he was stepping down as Speaker of the House and asked if they would find an amicable way to come to a decision. So they did. They sat down, they decided, okay, we're going to compromise and we're going to put the town hall here. And because we're doing this, we're going to name the town Concord because we came to an accord. So Concord really is agreement or harmony. And because of this unique situation, we're going to name the first street Union Street instead of Main Street because of the unity that brought us together. And then a loosely translated Hebrew word is korban, which means the generosity of the sacrifice in a compromise. That's a wild way to do that, but that's what korban means in Korban. Is Korban and Union. So before I tell you the beer name part, when they bought the land to put the township of Concord on, they bought 26 acres of land, and that was the original size of Concord. That's why we're 26 Acres Brewing Company.
Gotcha.
So
very cool.
Corbin Avenue was our first beer out of the gate when we opened. It's a light drinking honey blonde. We don't actually put honey in it. It's honey malts used, which gives it a nice little sweeter, drinkability. And then our stout is called 26 Union Street. So when you mix a blonde or a golden with a stout, you're making a black and tan. So if you order it, you're ordering a Corbin and Union. And we just thought that was pretty cool to name it as our main intersection for the downtown Concord area.
Nah, I love it, man. I just think I love tie-ins like that, and just learning about the local history and how you guys tie that all in, with the black and tan beer and the two groups coming together, like the two beers coming together. I just think that's fantastic, man. I love creative stuff like that, man. It's just I just think it's cool. So
that's awesome.
That's excellent. Well, Joel, look, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person this weekend. It was great talking with you on the phone earlier. Thank you for taking time on your Thursday night. I'm looking forward to posting this up on the social media right away. And I'm excited, man. So excited to have some food. Like I said, I've got a strict limit as as a race car driver. I got to keep it to a one beer limit. But Sunday
Don't
night
worry.
when I'm done racing, then that's a whole different story. And looking forward to maybe ordering some beer. I got to see how I can get that shipped to New Jersey. So
Yeah.
can you guys do that? I mean, so actually, it's a good point because there's going to be people all over the country that see this. So can they go onto the 26 Acres website? Can you order online,
So
or how do you do that?
we don't have an official shipping company at the moment, although
Okay,
we are looking into that.
okay,
Um,
got it.
but technically, we're not allowed to ship beer. I don't
Okay,
know if you
all
caught
right,
that in
got
the
it.
video.
Yeah, got to excuse my ignorance there, right? I mean,
No,
I'm
no,
just
no,
got
no,
the
it's
guy.
all good.
I'm the guy behind the wheel of the race car. That's I know how to step on the throttle pedal and steer, put the parachutes out. So
Yeah. No, I
oh,
mean, yeah, we've sent out beers before and stuff, but I think
got it.
probably a next big phase for us is to put the logistics in to start with companies that's their business is they ship beers out and around and stuff like that. And I know there's a couple of breweries already in North Carolina, well, in the Charlotte area doing it.
Yeah.
Um, so legally doing it legally,
Legally,
and
right? Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome.
So
Well, hey, man, I got to say thanks. Thanks for spending some time with me tonight. I'm excited to share this with all the folks that are following along with Racers to the Rescue. And I'm gonna obviously I know I've already talked to a couple of different teams, and there's some of our friends that are looking forward to coming out. So we're hoping to bring a
awesome.
bunch of people out with us Saturday. And race fans, as you're here for the four wides, definitely go to 26 Acres Brewery, get a couple of amazing beers, maybe have a little something to eat, and and enjoy the race weekend. And Joel, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Joe. I appreciate it. And on behalf of all the small business owners that you've interacted with, I can't say how much we appreciate efforts like this and your initiative. It is beneficial. It really does help us out. Um, it, it makes us feel, I mean, it makes us feel good that someone
Uh,
cares. I mean, it really does. It's always nice to have people that take the time and think about the small guys out here just making it day to day. So I really appreciate it.
oh, thanks, man. Yeah, my pleasure. Excellent. All right, well, I'll see you this weekend.
All right, buddy.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.